Hi everyone, and welcome to the YT University. Today, we're going to talk about a very hypothetical question. What would happen if space was filled with air? Space is the vast emptiness that surrounds planets, stars, and galaxies. It is mostly made up of a vacuum, which means that there are very few particles in it. This is why astronauts have to wear spacesuits when they go into space, because there is no air to breathe. The concept of space is complex and has been debated by philosophers and scientists for centuries. In physics, space is often defined as a three-dimensional continuum, which means that it has three dimensions: length, width, and height. However, space is not just a physical entity. It is also a conceptual framework that we use to understand the universe. Space is not completely empty. It contains a very low density of particles, including hydrogen, helium, dust, and cosmic rays. The baseline temperature of space is 2.7 kelvins, that is A'270 degrees Celsius or A'455 degrees Fahrenheit. Space is also not static. It is constantly expanding, and the rate of expansion is accelerating. This expansion is caused by the presence of dark energy, a mysterious force that makes up about 70% of the matter and energy in the universe. Space is a vaster and mysterious place, and we are still learning about it. However, one thing is for sure: it is an essential part of our universe, and it is essential for life as we know it. Here are some additional details about space. Number 1. Space is incredibly vast. The observable universe is about 93 billion light-years across. Number 2. Space is incredibly old. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Number 3. Space is incredibly empty. There is about 1 atom per cubic centimeter of space in the interstellar medium. Number 4. Space is incredibly dynamic. The universe is constantly expanding, and the stars and galaxies are constantly moving. Number 5. Space is incredibly mysterious. We still don't know what dark matter and dark energy are, and we don't know what lies beyond the observable universe. Number 6. Space is a fascinating and awe-inspiring place. It is a place of wonder and discovery, and it is a place that we are only just beginning to understand. If space was filled with air, it would have a profound impact on our universe. Here are some of the things that would happen. Travel through space would be much more difficult. Rockets would have to work much harder to overcome the resistance of the air, and it would be much more difficult to launch satellites. Life on Earth would be very different. The Earth's atmosphere would be much thicker, and the pressure would be much higher. This would make it difficult for us to breathe, and it would also make it more difficult for plants to grow. The stars and galaxies in our universe would also be affected. The friction of the air would cause the stars to heat up and burn out more quickly. Galaxies would also collide more often, which would disrupt the formation of new stars. The Earth's climate would be much more variable. The air would circulate more easily, which would mean that the Earth's weather would be more extreme. There would be more meteors and asteroids hitting the Earth. The air would slow down these objects, but it would not be enough to prevent them from impacting the Earth's surface. Sound would travel much further in space. This would mean that we would be able to hear things from much farther away, such as the sound of stars exploding. In addition to these effects, there are a few other things that could happen if space was filled with air. For example, the Earth's magnetic field would be weaker, which would make it more vulnerable to solar flares and other space weather events. Also, the Earth's orbit around the Sun would be more unstable, which could lead to changes in the seasons and the climate. Overall, if space was filled with air, it would be a very different universe. It would be much more difficult for us to travel through space, and life on Earth would be much more challenging. However, it would also be a much more interesting place to explore, and we would be able to learn a lot more about the universe. Life on Earth would also be very different. If space was filled with air, the Earth's atmosphere would be much thicker, and the pressure would be much higher. This would make it difficult for us to breathe. And it would also make it more difficult for plants to grow. The stars and galaxies in our universe would also be affected if space was filled with air. The friction of the air would cause the stars to heat up and burn out more quickly. Galaxies would also collide more often, which would disrupt the formation of new stars. So, what would happen if space was filled with air? It would be a very different universe, and it's hard to say what kind of life would be able to exist in it. But one thing is for sure, it would be a very interesting place to explore. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more hypothetical questions. And don't forget to like and share this video with your friends.